Today on Big Mouth, I'm joined by none other than Tommy Vext. And honestly, this interview went some places I just was not expecting at all. We get into stories such as their Bad Wolves' incredible cover of Zombie, his conversations with Dolores before her death, what really happened with Bad Wolves, and his fresh new start with A Vengeance. We also talk Jelly Roll, Ozzy Osbourne, Chester Bennington, Slipknot, Five Finger Death Punch, and somehow Justin Bieber and Thanos himself make it into the conversation today as well. It's a good one, guys. This is Tommy Vext on Big Mouth. Enjoy. Yeah, Tommy, bro, thank you so much for coming on. Hey, congratulations with A Vengeance. I actually listened to Shared Light for the first time 30 minutes ago. I wanted to go into it raw, you know, like really quick. Yeah, and it slaps, bro. I'm gonna put a clip here when I edit this, but you know, it sounds really promising. Feels like there's a real kind of sense of purpose behind it as well. So for anyone who's kind of only really known you as maybe the voice of Bad Wolves, which is what you are massively known for, what do you hope they hear when they press play on this song and this new chapter?
Well, I think this is, you know, it's definitely a new chapter, but it's taking into consideration all the things from my entire career that I loved, right? Like I was, you know, the lead singer of Divine Heresy. I did a project called Westvale Massacre before, and then I was a fill-in vocalist for Five Finger Death Punch. I was a fill-in vocalist for Snot. I was a fill-in vocalist for El Nino, you know? So I'm kind of the guy, and I've been sober for 17 years. Holy crap. And so usually when something goes wrong with a singer, I'm the guy that gets called. And so, you know, I think any hired gun musician, whatever instrument it is, will tell you, like, when you have to learn somebody's whole set list and catalog, it starts to become a part of you. And I think like this version, you know, and obviously me and Chris from Bad Wolves, the original guitar player from the first 2-3 records, we reunited for this. And so for us, it's not really, you know, we wrote a record. We actually were going to try to buy the Bad Wolves name back. So I saw that, yeah. And so we were writing with the intention of that this would be like Disobey 2.0, right? Where the band was supposed to go. And so we just wrote, you know, so it's a concatenation of all those influences from the past. And just like a very shared vision of where we want to go moving forward. And so far people have really responded well to it, and it's been very exciting. You know, we got Angel Vivaldi to feature on the first song, and we wrote another song with him called Holy Ghost that'll come out on our record probably early next year. And it's just been amazing, man.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Bad Wolves kind of thing. I heard, like, I mean, there's always like different conflicting reports that it was over a 7-figure kind of sum you wanted to buy it back. Well, how come that didn't transpire, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, so I brought in a corporate investor who's a friend of mine who also he does these sort of IP and copyright trademark acquisitions, and he saw a huge market for this. So he put up $1 million to buy the name, and then this would have came out as that. We're announcing next Friday that a third member of Bad Wolves is joining the band. So you know, it's
shit.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, when we broke up initially, there were multiple stories going on, and it was like a big messy breakup. But having Chris come back into my life, there was a lot of things that I didn't know, and I didn't know. You know, for the years that I was in the band, I was sort of I wasn't invited to parties, and I wasn't like asked to hang around, and it was because I was sober. And
really, you know, do you genuinely think people weren't inviting you just because you weren't sober?
Well, I didn't know that until Chris got sober, and Chris is almost 2 years sober, and obviously we've been doing this band for over a year, and he sort of made amends to me and kind of confessed that, you know, there was like cocaine parties and like all this stuff going on, especially during COVID. And that's sort of where John and Doc devised this plan to get rid of me.
No
And
way.
because I had been sort of like a conspiracy theorist and like anti-vaxxer, just basically against any narrative, period. They really use that as like fuel to a fire, to sort
Yeah.
of get the management and the label to get behind them. They also lied to management and the label over who wrote the songs. And now that I made peace with my former label owners and stuff, and we had a whole amends process through the guys on Five Finger Death Punch, and like we made peace, and everybody, they lied to everybody, and so again now Bad Wolves now, we wish them well. Like it's the drummer John owns the name, it's his decision, and that's fine. But even if he would have sold it to us, we would have been liable because he's not of sound mind. He's in and out of rehabs.
Right.
He's in an extremely bad place, and I have a lot of empathy for that. Obviously, I'm sober a long time. I actively am in recovery programs where I sponsor other men. I spent 5 years of my sobriety as a professional sobriety coach, and so, I just the drug use and all the things that come with it and the chaos and the craziness is why Bad Wolves can't do a reunion. And so,
Right.
and also the reason why it wasn't a good idea to buy the name and to sell us the name. And so I hope that he gets his life together, and that I genuinely hope that he's happy. Like, I know how miserable it is to be stuck
Be
in
in
the
that zone.
cycle. Yeah, and like we were friends. We used to be friends, and so I just like I pray that he finds what he needs, and that he lives a happy, fulfilled life and finds sobriety, like me, like I did, like Chris did, like many other guys, you know. Um
Yeah.
because it's just there's two there's a lot of talented, special people, and we see what happens to them. We see what happens to like all of my grunge heroes, all died. And
Mm.
and then if the addiction doesn't take you, it's like you look at like what happened to Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington, and like
Yeah, I
the
know.
the
Well, who
sadness
knows,
and the
really?
depression.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when Chris and Chester died, I mean, there's still conflicting reports. People just in denial about it all. Um, I've got one of my best friends is a huge Linkin Park fan, and he sits on one side where he believes into the conspiracy theories, where I was a bit more of a realist. But you're so right. Like, so whether, people are, taking their own lives, or they're, succumbing to drug addictions and other addictions and, distractions. And it must be so hard. And I know you've got sober now, but I was speaking to Craig Mabbitt last week about sobriety as well. It seems that so many people in your scene and similar scenes really struggle with there's distractions of this. Why do you think that is? Is it just because it's so readily available, maybe?
I think that, well, again, like people know me from Zombie and from like Radio Rock, but I've been in extreme metal bands most of my life, and
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think extreme musicians and extreme people tend to do everything in an extreme way,
Yeah.
and uh and then I think also, if you look at the like music is like an expression of what's going on inside the artist, and sometimes it's an expression of what's going on inside the world. And so there are like, you need empathy in order to be creative like that. And I think it just, some people are like they're sort of a tuning fork, and they're much more sensitive to their environment or the vibrational frequency of reality, and the horrors that go on in the world. I know that I am. And so you want to numb that stuff, right? I guess
Yeah.
like I just saw Spider-Man. I took my girlfriend to see Spider-Man, and in the new movie, it's not his spidey sense starts getting too sensitive, and it's a perfect example. Like, to me, that's an example of like the anxiety and discomfort that a lot of creative people and empathetic people feel. And then alcohol and drugs sort of calm the nerves and quiet it down. And
Mm,
so the hard part of sobriety is, when you take that away and you've been dependent on that, you actually have to learn on your own emotional tools, how to self-soothe, so
mm.
that the outside world doesn't impact you and affect you in a debilitating way.
So going sober, like obviously with a vengeance, for instance, now in your solo stuff after Bad Wolves, and I know it's been a while since you have been sober. How different is your creative process, your writing process, or just anything to do with being a frontman of a band or being in the industry changed since you became sober?
Um, well, I mean, it's destigmatized, right? Like 17 years ago, I got sober in Snot, right? So Sonny Mayo, the guitar player of Snot, the original guitar player, he also played in Amen, Seven Dust. He was sober 7 years when I was new, and we were touring together, and I was in like the height of my addiction, and we were just partying on tour, and he was just always okay.
Yeah.
And I had wind up having an overdose, and then he let me move in with him and his ex-wife let me live on their couch, and
Mm,
and so that back then there were very few of us. And now, I watched, I watched Ivan Moody get sober. I watched Chris Cale get sober. I watched Jacoby get sober. I watched, Barry from 3 Days Grace get sober. The list, like the list goes on and on. Randy from Lamb of God got sober about 18 months after I did. And we used to do drugs together, you know,
mm,
and then I watched Mark get sober. And it's just like what happens is that I think I think people think that once they stop drinking and using, like their creativity goes away, but I think it actually you get more access to it, and I
right.
think that,
You're more
you
lucid.
know, yeah, and that there are just different places inside of yourself that you're willing to go that don't have boundaries and barriers. And I think when a lot of the trauma or abuse or childhood issues growing up, when you face them, you can actually take those emotions and put them into music in a way that's not destructive. And then what I have found when I do that, it actually helps me heal because more people will come up to me and say, "Hey, man, I went through this too." And all of a
Mm,
sudden, I'm not unique anymore. And I think
mm,
that's what the loneliness of like your story. And this is for everybody, right? It's like when you take your pain and when you take your pain and you share it, you divide it. And when you take your joy and you share it, you multiply it. And for me, it's been a huge healing experience by having the courage to say things I would never want to talk about before I was sober because they were too personal, and I would cover it in anger or I'd make up
mm.
a story. And, for example, like Remember When is a song that was it
Yeah.
was, I think, Bad Wolf's third biggest song, and it's gold. It's probably on its way to platinum right now. Still, and it's like, it's been out for like 6 years, 7 years. And people still come up to me and they're like, man, like I had a relative who was like a drug addict or an alcoholic and he tried to kill me or he tried to kill someone in my family. And it seems like it's such when it happens, when you're in it, it feels so isolating because how can anybody understand that this tragedy can happen? And then when you share it, thousands and thousands of people who have had this similar over across the whole world. And now all of a sudden I'm not alone and they're not alone.
Do you mind sharing to the audience what Remember When was about? Obviously, I know, but it'd be good
Yeah,
if you could
yeah.
share it.
So Remember When is a song that was on the was on the Disobey record, the debut album by Bad Wolves. And it's the story of my twin brother and I. And my twin brother and I we were abandoned when we were born. My birth mother, my biological mother was a crackhead, and my brother and I were adopted into another family. And my brother started to exhibit severe mental health issues from the time that he was 10 years old. And growing up from 10, he was institutionalized repeatedly. And then we've discovered drugs and alcohol. We didn't know that we were already predisposed to addiction. And fast forward, I moved to California. I got a record deal. I traveled all over the world. I overdosed. Went to rehab. I got sober, and I had come back to New York City after living in LA for I think about 5 years. And my brother was strung out on dope and had broken into my apartment, and he hit me from behind with a crowbar and fractured my skull. And then I fought with him to get the crowbar, and he wound up perforating my spleen and breaking my arm. And I fled the apartment to my neighbors, and I actually died in the hospital, and I had to be resuscitated. And so the whole process was the video was done by Wayne Isham, he did the zombie video, but he's done Michael Jackson, if Metallica's Enter Sandman, Britney Spears, like an industry, he's a massive,
Yeah, the
respected.
video is amazing. The video is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was one of the hardest shoots of my entire life.
I
And
can't
so,
imagine like
yeah,
reliving it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that must have
Well,
been tough.
I just did it again on Monday because I testified against my brother and he got 20 years in prison. He served 15 and he got released. And so, people were always like, what are you guys, are you ever going to see him again? And, um, the day he got out of prison, I wrote, I was working on this record with Chris and I wrote this song called Welcome Home. And we just shot the music video for that on Monday in LA. And, we had two kids playing me and my brother as little kids. And we still have some pickup shots to do, but, that's going to be like one of the big singles that we put out on the album. And,
Bro, that's tough, man. How did that feel? Like, holy shit.
I mean, it's like, well, like, I want to say that I'm stoic about it, but I am like on set and with the band and professionally I am. And then I call my girlfriend and cry and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm very grateful to have a support system. My partner is also someone who's in
Yeah.
recovery and in the mental health space. And so it's like, and she's also been through stuff. So I like, it's actually nice that outside, like I still have a sponsor and I still have all the guys in my recovery, but it's nice to have a partner who like, we speak the same language. And, yeah, there are moments where you fall apart. And, but it's not I think that the tears are healing because it becomes
Mm,
part of the acceptance process.
yeah.
And, also I know the sacrifice, right, of going through the discomfort of putting this out there. It's even if, and this is what my mother says, she's like, even if it helps one family or one person to not feel alone, then you have a responsibility to do it, you know? And so that's
Yeah,
sort of like the
that's
principle.
really wise.
Yeah. She's been around a long time. Mama Vex. A lot of people have met her. My mom comes to all the concerts and whenever we're in she lives in Florida now, but she sang on stage with us, opening for Five Finger and Breaking Benjamin in an arena. And like the
No
whole
way.
crowd whole crowd went crazy. Yeah, it was great.
That's so sick, bro. Before, obviously, I spoke to you earlier. I ask all of our guests their dream dinner pie. So every guest on Big Mouth gets the same challenge. So you've got to
Man.
sit down at a dinner table with four musicians, dead or alive. One wild card. We'll just ask you two for now. Who's taking the first seat and why?
I mean, man, probably I would say Ozzy, but I met him. I know him, Yeah. I had the pleasure of hanging out with Ozzy. He actually saw
Holy,
me speak. Yeah, so I wrote a biography that's going to come out next year, and he saw me speak at a recovery thing and waited till the end to meet me. And he was like,
no
"Call me
way.
John." And then we started, like we literally were just he just like we chatted it up, and he was like, you need to write a book." And I was like, "I can't write a book." He's like, "I can't even talk, man." He's like, "And I wrote a book." And he was like, "Call me John," And I was like, "Dude, I'm not calling you John. You're the Prince of Darkness."
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've
Yeah.
had a lot of these moments. Right before 2 weeks before Chester died, I played with them in Madrid because I was singing for Five Finger in
Mm.
2017 when Ivan was in the hospital. And, I met Chester in the airport. We played right before them. And, at the end of the night, we were in a private airport because everybody had private jets. And like me, I'd never, I'd been used to playing like, death metal clubs. I'm like, yo, this is
Yeah.
crazy. And he was just so nice to me, man. And I looked super nervous. And he was like, hey, bro, like, don't forget to have fun. And I was like, oh,
Mm.
okay. And then he got on his plane. And then the rest of the tour, it was the second show or third show I did. And I was so nervous. And then it was smooth it was like, he sort of like, I felt like he knighted me. Like he was like, okay, you're good.
Yeah.
Like, just go have fun,
Yeah. I
And
mean, everything I've heard about him, he just sounds like such a nice person. So you saying you've got Ozzy and Chester as your first two guests?
Probably, yeah. And then I would say Dimebag and the other two. I mean, it's tough because it's like I'm from Brooklyn and I grew up in hip hop, and so I'd want to meet Biggie Smalls, obviously, like the Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah, doesn't Vex come from like a Wu-Tang song or something?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's in the Bible and it's also in a Wu-Tang song called "The Mystery of Chess Boxing." So it's like, but so I don't know. I would Chris Cornell, Dimebag. I need 5. It's be
You
Ozzy, Chester, Chris.
four musicians. One's a wild card, so it can be anyone. It doesn't have to be music.
One of them is a wild card. Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. Let's go. Why not? Fuck it.
Yeah. Freed the slaves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good. He was also
that was a pretty. It was a pretty nice thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like 6'7". Yeah. He's huge. Like, especially back then, everybody was the average height was like 5'4".
Huge bloke.
Yeah, he was massive dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Abraham Lincoln.
Who was your fourth? Did you say who's the hip hop act that you said? Did you say Biggie?
Yeah, Biggie. There's so many people that I'd love to just sit down with. So
are you taking Biggie over Tupac then?
Yeah. I'm from New York. We didn't,
Oh yeah, shit.
I'm literally from Brooklyn. Not to take anything away from Tupac's talent. It's just, just as a lyricist, and I don't think without Biggie there'd be no Eminem. Without Biggie there wouldn't be a lot. There's a lot of the rappers that mastered storytelling. I think Biggie even influenced Nas. Like, he just took storytelling to a completely different place than hip hop had ever been. And, and unfortunately, I feel like hip hop kind of died over the last 15 years. It's not
I
really.
agree, man. You look I counter that with like Tupac done Big Brenda's Got a Baby and stuff like that too. I think they were both really good story writers. I do agree what you say, maybe that he predominantly told, I think, more darker stories, especially from his upbringing, a lot more than Pac. Pac, got a lot commercial. He got very, very like hungry for the money, whereas I think Biggie was very like true to himself in like his neighborhood and stuff. But I totally agree, man. I don't really know what hip hop is now for the last 15 years. Like, it's become a really, really weird genre.
It's sort of become like advertisement for liquor brands and clothing brands.
Yeah.
And it was, hip hop was a culture of the proletariat anthems, right? It was the language of poverty and the struggle of trying to, jump class systems, right? And it just wound up again, like I was born in 82, and so I grew up, I grew up with Fat Joe and Big Pun and Biggie Smalls and Wu-Tang Clan, like Method Man and Redman, and
well, I'd imagine they would have been a very formative kind of thing for you, because you would have been 10 years old to a teenager, which is very much like when you start to form your opinions for the first time. And
well, I lived I lived in those places where that was going on, too, so it was very relatable, and I just was a little bit more angry than hip hop was. So I literally had like gangster rap and metal, right? And so it's like I discovered Pantera in 1992 from the Crow soundtrack. It wasn't vulgar. It was actually the Crow soundtrack. They had a cover song called The Badge. And I was like, yo, this is awesome. And then I found it. I found Pantera, and then my brain melted,
Yeah, bro, Pantera
like,
is so fucking sick.
Well, I was like 12 years old, right? Imagine you're 12 years old. And then for reference, nothing sounded like that.
Yeah, how did you
Uh,
come across it though? Who introduced Pantera to you?
from the Crow soundtrack from the movie. Like I
Oh,
loved like
it was from the
yeah,
Crow. Was it Brandon
Brandon
Lee,
Lee.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I saw that movie and I already like Stone Temple Pilots was on it and I got the soundtrack. I probably shoplifted, let's be honest. And
I've never seen that film. That's why I didn't understand the reference. I've never seen it.
what?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Oh, all right.
I only just know that he died doing it. That's all I
Yeah,
know.
you got homework, brother. You got to check it out. It's phenomenal.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, I'll
It's like
make you a promise. I'll watch it tonight when I order some Wingstop, okay? I promise you.
yeah, it's one of the most it's probably the most phenomenal music soundtrack to a film that had ever
Mm.
happened that encapsulated grunge, goth metal culture at once. The other one, the so every musician who listens to aggressive music needs to also look up Judgment Night soundtrack. The movie Judgment
Yeah, I'm
Night.
looking these up now, like Nine Inch Nails on the Crow, Robert Smith.
Yeah,
Fucking hell, Rage are on
that
there. And
Robert
what was
Smith
the other
song is
film? What was the other
amazing.
film you said?
Judgment Night, and that's the birth of rap metal. So that album has Helmet. So the record labels paired up all the rappers with all the metal bands. So
Yeah.
Helmet, House of Pain, Slayer, and Ice Cube, Faith No
Yeah.
More.
Holy shit! Yeah,
Yeah, and
I haven't
like
heard of this at
Biohazard and
all.
Onyx. Yeah,
Pearl
so
Jam and Cypress Hill, Dinosaur Jr.,
yep.
Del the Funker Homo Sapien. I love Del the Funker Homo Sapien, man. He's so sick.
Dude, that record's a gem. That's where
Holy
if it wasn't
shit.
for the Judgment Night soundtrack, Limp Bizkit never would have existed. Ever. Or Corn.
Really?
Yep.
Bro, I love shit like this. I love learning shit like this. That is so
Hmm.
cool. Look, we're gonna get out of the way, Tommy, because I have to ask you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I wanna say, right, first and foremost, I think of you as way more than Bad Wolves, bro. I knew your stuff before, but I do want to ask you about Zombie, not just because it's such a huge song. It's, 600-700 million views. It's also one of my father's favorite songs. The Cranberries are a huge band in my
Mhm.
family. I love Dolores. I've got Irish friends. They know you're coming on today. And I just kind of want to take you back to that because I can't imagine how nerve wracking it must have been to cover such a big song that is so political and so important to so many people, especially Irish people with the Troubles. Take me back to that time. How did it feel like covering that song?
Well, so I mean, there's so much behind the song that's like that the public doesn't know. Like for starters, like the band did not record this song. No one in Bad Wolves played on this song was recorded before I was in Bad Wolves. And so
Right,
Philip Naslin is a Swedish producer and he and I were sober coaches. So we
right.
met because we had clients in common that we were helping get sober in LA. And I was in Westfield Massacre and he had done some production work on that record. And I wanted to just record a bunch of songs. And I was a huge fan of the Cranberries. Um, Linger was like one of the, like Ode to Family and Linger. I was my father was Irish. I was adopted into an Irish English family. My mother was Danish. And so, in New York, like I went to school and I cut school and went to the St. Patrick's Day parade with all the Irish kids, you know. And I
Yeah.
just yeah, that's how it was. And I'm also like biologically I'm like 25% Irish. So I'm
No
literally
shit.
half white and half black, and my white side is English, Irish, and German and French. And so Irish culture was just in South Brooklyn. It was just a huge part of our
Hmm.
lives. So, my drummer's dad had played in the bagpipe band, and
Hmm.
I had my friends were like, oh, Macedane and like, the McCarthys and the.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we had it was just part of it. And so, you know, the a lot of the stuff that was going on in 2016, um, sort of around the world, like it brought the song back up to the forefront, and I was like, I really want to record this. And then this recording was sitting there, and then 2017 happened, and I got a record deal for singing for Five Finger,
Mm-hmm.
and Bad Wolves was a metal band. We actually weren't called Bad Wolves. I renamed the band. The band was a side project called Eye of Tongues, and it was like most of the songs were like 7 or 8 minutes long. And
Shit.
yeah, and basically when I got signed to 11/7, which is now Better Noise, I had to edit down the songs to regular song structure because we knew we were going to be opening for Five Finger in the following year. And I was like, this is not the genre. We have to like really clean this up and sort of make it a little bit more focused. And we presented the record, and Alan and Zoltan were like, dude, you don't have any singles. Like, you don't have one radio song. And we're like, and so I had written Remember When with Drew Folk and Zoltan. Like, that's who really wrote that song. And
What?
yeah, and Hear Me Now was actually a song that I wrote with a guy named Brandon Sammons, who was like, he did some of the writing on the first record. And John was going through a divorce, and he asked me to write a love song to his ex-wife Elizabeth to try to stop her from divorcing him. So so I wrote Hear Me Now with Brandon, and it started out as just vocals and piano and bass. And so I went in and I took the vocals from that, and I sent them to Max and Philip, who did Zombie. And that's how Hear Me Now happened. And I sent Alan Zombie, and I didn't know this, but he managed the Cranberries in the height of their career.
Right. Okay.
So then he was like, we definitely need to do this song. I can get this cleared. I used to manage the Cranberries. I'll call them. And I was on tour with I was with Five Finger, and we were on tour with In Flames in 2017 in December. And I was just hanging out. I was just sort of like being a positive sober reinforcement because Ivan was newly sober. And this was a few months after I had to fill in for him. And so Ivan was bringing me out on stage every night to like give me exposure and say thanks. So I was like, all right, cool. I just followed the tour. I rode on the bus, and then he brought me on stage for one song every night. And then I met the president of Better Noise Music in London is Dan Waite, and Dan Waite grew up with Dolores. So we had this long conversation. He asked me if he could send Dolores the song, and I said, yeah, of course. Like, and I was expecting her, like we were hoping that she would like the song and then write like a thing for a press release, just saying, hey, this song's awesome. Like, I love what these guys did with this. Cool. I fly back to New York for Christmas to see my mom. The 2 days after Christmas, I got Dan and Dolores call me, and I'm like, wait, what? And she's
What
like,
the fuck?
she's like, this track is killer. She's like, and she was like, I have to sing on it. And I was like, ma'am, you could do whatever you want. Like, I was like, yeah, like, yes, please. Like, oh my God. So, for the next,
That's huge, man. That's so big.
it's not reality, dude. It's like those rock star. It's like the movie
Yeah.
Rockstar. You're just like, yo, like this woman who has sold like 40 million records is calling me on WhatsApp.
Yeah. She was a goddess, man. Like
Oh
an
yeah,
actual, like you see her, like I watch her live performance of Zombie in Ireland, which she does in Ireland so many times, man, on YouTube.
yeah. I
And
mean,
her like little
it's
woman with a big
unreal.
guitar.
Yeah, it's unreal. You know what it is, like the pain in her voice, and Irish singers have that, right?
Yeah.
There's just something in there that is like it draws you in, you know. And the fact that she liked it, I was like, oh shit, like okay. And then I called the band, and I told the band what was going on, and John and Doc didn't believe me. And then they called me like a week later, and they were like, we don't want the song on the record. And I was like, what?
What?
Why? Yeah. And they were like, we don't want to be known as a cover band. And I was like, dude, I'm like,
Bro, you've got
we,
Dolores' blessing to do
yeah.
Zombie. Like you put that
Well,
shit.
well,
You put
she's
that
gonna
as the
feature
title.
on it. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
she's gonna feature on it. And so this was like probably the first the first argument, you know, and I've been friends with Doc. I was friends with Doc for 20 years and John for 10. And this is the first time we actually had a real business argument. And I just said, I
Mm.
was like, look, guys, I'm the one who signed. I have a record deal. And
Yeah.
you guys are not even, you know, you're not even playing on the record. Like, I'll just like you guys, I'll give it like you could keep the name, I'll come up with a new name and like we'll just say goodbye. I'm like, because there's no way that you're stopping this from happening. And they were like, okay, fine. And then, you know, and
Bro,
then the
I'm
worst,
gonna
but
take
then
your
the
side
worst
here. I
possible
would have
thing
lost
happened.
my shit. I would have lost my
Yeah,
shit.
but this is the politics of bands. Like it's like, you know, you're
Yeah.
like listening to two people who don't have any concept of it. You know, they're like they're more worried that if we do a song like if we do a song like this, the extreme metal community won't like us. And I'm like, dude, what?
Bro,
No,
who
like you're
cares? Like,
so
holy
worried about
shit.
elitism, but
Yeah, just
it
do.
completely controls and dominates their life decisions. You know, it's like high school. It's like you
I
can't
think
live
it
your life
dominates. I think it
worrying.
dominates a lot of people in the industry. Not even just bands. Like even from my page, I don't give a shit with my page. I'm independent. I don't care. Like, but a lot of rock pages out there won't post people like Ronnie Radke or maybe yourself or something like that because of the
Yeah, yeah.
there's a slight bit of controversy. Like people are so fucking scared of backlash and gatekeepers and stuff like that. Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
it's also because like in the difference between, and this is like this is a very strange phenomenon of white people in music. White people in music hate when the bands that they like get successful. African Americans and Hispanic people, Latin
Yeah,
culture, when you're
you've got a
artists,
point.
every Armenian loves System of a Down, right? All the other world cultures, everyone in Brazil loves Sepultura, right?
Mm.
When an artist from like in that's part of your culture becomes successful, everyone in those cultures is excited.
This is
But
yeah,
in
look,
rock music,
I kind of
in what
understand. Like I remember when Green Day brought American Idiot, everyone hated them.
yeah,
I get what you mean. I do get what you mean. There
yeah.
is a weird kind
And
of
and people
like
are just they're really just mad. Like it's almost like I'm like, are you guys jealous? Or, you know, it's like, well, if everybody likes this, then what does it say about me? It's like, dude, artists are not making like artists make music, right, from themselves to share with others. You shouldn't make an identity out of yourself by the bands that you listen to, because
I
then
don't
you
know,
can't
like
enjoy
yeah.
you literally can't enjoy other music. Like
I don't
I
know
will
whether it
listen
comes
to
down to like
Cephalic Carnage.
upbringing or something. Go on, sorry.
I don't no, I just think it's the culture. It's like a dog chasing it's eating its own tail, or a snake eating its own tail. It's like you're only allowed to get a certain level of success, and
Mm.
if you become mainstream, people hate you. Like it's even in country music. Like I'm friends with Jelly Roll. We're actually going to be doing a song
Hmm.
together next year, and everyone's going to be
No
upset about it.
way.
Yeah. So I
No
sang on the Jelly
shit.
Roll.
Love
So
Jelly
Jelly
Roll.
Roll. So Jelly Roll's first #1 song he ever had, I sang on. And in 2020, when I was in the height of Bad Wolves and the height of controversy, I did a song called Winds of Change with Jelly Roll, Struggle, and Yellow Wolf. And they released the track. It immediately went #1. And not just because of me, just all four of us, right?
It was all you, bro. It was all you.
I never asked for any money. I didn't get paid for it. I just did it because he was my bro.
Hmm.
And about 4 months ago, I went to go see him and Bunny before the divorce stuff. And she was doing her book tour. And I sent him this song. You know, he had like we stayed friends all these years. I had a friend who died of cancer, and he made a video for her and her family in 2024. And I wound up writing a song about it. And I was like, hey, you know, the girl, you know, that had died of brain cancer, Nina. I wrote this song. I was like, you know, and I was like, you know, I'm about to sign a deal. Like, you know, how much would it cost you to sing on it? And dude, he just hugged me and he was like, Bubba, he's like, I'll never take your money. He's like, he's like, you participated in my first #1 single. Like you never asked me for anything. You've always had my back. Like you've always had my wife's back. He's like, we don't forget that.
Oh, he seems
And
like a
so,
cool guy. He does seem like a really cool guy, Jelly Roll.
Yeah, he's somebody who never forgot where he came from,
Yeah.
and it's just that he got so famous, you
Mm,
know, and that stuff doesn't, like to me, I lived in LA for 20 years. I've been in recovery for 20
mm,
years. I know people that are like, I'm not going to name drop, but like, I know people that if I go somewhere with them, like everything stops and it's really annoying, you know?
mm.
And, all those, like the people who last are the people who don't forget where they came from and they stay the same, you know, cause
Yeah, for
it's a lot,
sure.
but people are starting to hate on him now too. Cause now they're mad that he lost weight.
Uh, yeah, this people like,
It's like, what?
bro,
It's
it's
like, what?
fucking sick. You went on Joe Rogan podcast, man, and I was like, I listened to the episode, and I was like, this guy is cool as shit, bro. Like, he's so happy, and all of a sudden, just because he's skinny, everyone's like, oh, okay, now I hate him. But do you know why? Because he's showing confidence more. He is clearly exuding
Well,
confidence and way more
he,
happiness.
he,
And I do
he
think
had he
people,
had a triple bypass surgery. He had to
mm,
lose the weight. So
yeah,
it's like now people are mad, and this is a problem. And this is like a weird thing about Western, like Caucasian entertainment industry culture. It's like the doctors were like, if you don't lose weight, you're gonna die in 5 years. He's 40 years old. Imagine dying at 45. And then you
yeah,
put in all
that's where he
this
was
work
headed.
and he finally beat it. Right? Obesity is a food addiction issue. It's the same as drug addictions. It centers in the same part of your brain. You get you get the trainers, you go on a diet, you have to cut all the food out, you got to get a therapist. Like it's not easy. It's brutal to change your habits when you've been addicted to something like that. And then instead of everyone being like, yeah, they're like, fuck this guy. You're like, what? And
Yeah, it is strange, man. Like people kind of naturally want to bring each other down. I want to quickly go, well, talking about
yeah,
bringing things down, going back to what you said earlier about look, the fact the zombie nearly didn't happen. I
oh
did
yeah,
interrupt you when you said something super important. You had to put up a proper fight to get that record out there. Dolores herself loved it, but then she unfortunately died on the day she was to record her vocals. Um,
yeah.
you know, how did
That
you
was one of
find
the
out she passed away?
uh so I was I was in Las Vegas, and actually this is what so Zoltan called me and all he said was, bro, he's like, bro, he woke me up. He was like, he gets up really early because he trades on the stock market. And he was like, hey bro, he's like, go turn on the TV. I was like, and call me back. And I was like, the last time he called me and did that, Chester died. And
Fuck.
so like, so bro, I thought Ivan had like died.
Mm,
That like I was like, because I had seen when he was actively drinking, like we were really scared. People think that when I filled in for them, like it was this great thing, but it was constantly in the back of my mind, like, is he going to be okay? And I had to like, we are all going up there and like, putting on a good show, but backstage, everyone's like, yo, is our boy going to make it? And so
mm,
like that was the only thing that I could have thought. And I turned on the news and it was everywhere. And I looked
mm,
online and it was everywhere. And then there was like all this stuff talking about the Bad Wolf song. And the press had, I guess I don't, the, the news had found out that she was in London to record with us, and whoever they
mm,
interviewed just said it. So then Bad Wolves was everywhere, and like my phone was blowing up. Lawyers were calling, everybody was calling me. The label called. We had this whole big conference where like we have to release the song. And I just like felt weird. I was like, I don't feel, you know, I was like, I'm like, how are we gonna like? I don't want to make money off this woman's death, and so I asked Alan, I'm like, hey, like, can I just donate my like, my royalties to her kids? And everyone
no
on the phone
way.
got quiet, and they were like, you got because they're all businessmen. They're like, this motherfucker's
Yeah.
insane. This is the dumbest fucking guy I've ever met,
Well, that's
or
a
he's
lot
out
of
of his
fucking
mind.
money as well. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's in the double digit millions now, I'm sure. And and then they were like, well, yeah, technically we can do that. And I was like, cool, and I was like, set up a trust fund. And then when, while we have to go shoot a music video for this. So then we all had to go to LA and shoot the music video. And yeah, and that was it. It was like, it just happened like that. And
Are you super
yeah,
proud, like, of that song? Like, especially for Dolores now, it was almost like a way to honor her legacy, you know?
yeah, I mean, so the double-edged sword of that song was the band got so famous and the fame poisoned my bandmates.
Hmm.
Doc, John, Kyle, and even Chris will tell you, like, the celebrity that accompanied that, it poisoned them. It made them sick. And, they had these guys had, these career musicians who, like, we had done some stuff. Everybody had did their stuff, right? In the, like, small realm of, like, legacy metal. And sure, it's credible and respectable, but no one ever, including myself, ever experienced the phenomenon of this single. And it
Yeah.
was, we outsold Disturbed. We outsold Five Finger. Like, Zombie is the biggest single that record label has ever had in the history of them. And they have got Papa Roach, and they've had Breaking Benjamin, and In This Moment,
Hmm.
and so it was just, the song was larger than life, and they weren't a part of the recording, writing, or anything process. And I think there was a lot of resentment that, you know, they weren't a part of it. And so then
Yeah.
by the second record, John was really fighting with me over writing songs that were going to be on the radio. And
Hmm.
he's just not good at it. He doesn't listen to radio rock. He doesn't listen to grunt. He listens to extreme music, and he doesn't understand, like, the fundamental basic structures, and, like, and also none of them write lyrics, and none of them have ever been through anything. So they have nothing to say. So, what wound up happening is, like, I was getting song submissions that were, they would have been good for a band on Century Media, Nuclear Blast. They'd be awesome, but they
Yeah.
weren't fit for what Zombie changed the trajectory of what we were,
Yeah.
right? And so I had to go read, like, Remember When and Hear Me Now were written after the record was already submitted, because the label was like, we need a second single,
Hmm.
and we didn't have one. So I was like, oh, let me take the song that we wrote for John's wife. And then Alan introduced me to Diamante. She came in. The video footage of her singing in the studio, that's the day she recorded. And
Really?
it's wild, because we hired some college kid to film it. That music
Yeah.
video cost $300, and
No
probably made,
fucking way.
yeah, and probably it's at like 90 million views, and it's $4,000 per million. So it made about $350,000. But the other videos they spent like $100,000 on, like, so
That's
it just
crazy,
goes to
bro.
show you, like, you never know what's gonna
Yeah.
hit, you don't
Yeah.
know what's gonna connect. And so,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, the Bad Wolves always was two bands. It was like
Hmm.
John and his ideas were the heavy songs, and that was
Yeah.
so. And I'm not trying to downplay it. That was the meat and potatoes of the identity of the band, and what he and Max was our studio guitar player, what they created. And many of those songs pushed me beyond my capacity and forced me to get better. And so, in respect to them, however, what we created, the three of us created on this right hand side, was too complicated to digest for a mainstream audience. And so what I did was I Trojan horsed the band in this mainstream vehicle, and that's why Disobeying Nation worked. And when I left, it just fell apart, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah,
it's interesting, man.
yeah, it is. It really is. Like, it's almost with Bad Wolves, I kind of think, you know, from that zombie kind of blow up, like there's a lot more to Bad Wolves and Zombie. Like you guys have got, they've so many decent singles other than that.
Oh yeah,
But it's
dude. Some of my
what
favorite songs that John and Max wrote are like, you know, No Messiah, I'll Be There,
mm,
Crying Game. I think Run for Your Life, Toast to the Go. These are phenomenal tracks. Super
yeah,
tech, Truth or Dare, super technical. Me and Max wrote No Masters together, and we wrote Officer Down together. You
yeah,
know, Foe or Friend. So it's not to take away anything
mm,
from what anyone did. It's just we had separate. Like I look at it as like a team, right? And you have you have a quarterback, you have
mm-hmm,
kickers, you have runners, you have lineback. You have to have all the things in place in order for the team to win. And
yeah.
everybody started trying to fight over being who's going to be the quarterback.
Yeah, it's always going to be toxic then, isn't it? Talking, one thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about as well while I've got you on here, talking of toxic bands. No, I'm just kidding. But I've saw, obviously in the news, Sid Wilson is apparently been kicked out of Slipknot. And I saw you commented on your story. For anyone who's kind of like tuning in now, Sid Wilson, the DJ from Slipknot, apparently has been sacked from the band. But now Jim Root has come out and actually said
Yeah,
like a
he
pile of
said a
stuff like
cryptic.
don't believe what you hear, etc., etc. But it's like either say he's been sacked or not. You've either been sacked or you haven't been sacked, you know?
Yeah, so I don't know. So it might be a PR stunt for a release. That's what I hope. But there's a lot of weird things going on, and I got to be careful because these are people I like respect and like as a fan, but also
Mm,
respect as a peer, or as an elder statesman. And so,
yeah,
and obviously I've been in this situation, right? I've been in the band breaking up and the craziness. I love Sid. I've known him. I used to know Paul, like before I was sober. Like Paul died around my 1 year sobriety, a few days before I turned 1 year sober. I still owe him $60 for beers at the Rainbow. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and like when I moved to LA and these guys were super famous rock stars and I joined
mm,
Divine Heresy, they were super cool to me and they made me feel like I belonged. And so
yeah,
even up until I think I saw Sid in 2020 at we did some festival in Belgium with Slipknot and we were opening and him and Randy Bly came to watch us play on side stage and we were on during the day, and it's like that's like, that's a homie, bro. Like, and I don't know what's going on over there and I don't
yeah.
have
What
an
do you think?
opinion.
What do you think? Someone like you who's in the industry, you're a veteran of the scene. Look, I'm not going to ask you to like. You're not gonna know, and we all just like. I love Slipknot, and I think as fans, we just hope it's not true.
Yeah,
But
I just
if
don't
it
I,
is,
I just feel like too many I don't know. I feel like as the singer that got pushed out of his own band, I feel like even now there's there's too much original members getting kicked out of bands. Like
we've
it's
been
just
in
how
there
I feel.
since
Like
before the millennium is crazy. But
yeah, and
would you
again,
not
like
agree?
I
Like, surely, if he hasn't been kicked out of the band, uh, it's pretty easy for Slipknot to just put out say this isn't true, but they're not
well
doing that. So
he may well so they probably aren't saying anything if he quit, right? Or there's probably paperwork, right? Because if Sid is an original member, I don't know what that looks like on paper. I don't know if he's a partial owner of the brand. So these are all the things that the public doesn't understand. And so for legal reasons, statements can't be made until things are signed off on. But I hope it's not true. I hope it's like, look, the new Avenged Sevenfold record is also like, I was like, oh, they got to be trolling. Like, it's almost like, are you guys fucking with us? Like, and now, like,
I'm so
look,
glad you said it, bro.
Matt,
I was gonna
Matt,
ask you, but I
I
thought,
love, I love that band, and like Matt is the fucking coolest dude ever. But they're fucking with us. I'm like, this is not
I don't
serious.
know,
You guys are
bro.
fucking
I
around.
don't know. They've just released the music video yesterday, and I put it on the channel. They're doubling down. It's like the production value of this video is like a cyberpunk, like Ryan Gosling drive. Like, I think they believe in this.
I don't know. Listen, there's certain
You
things
think they're
that,
trolling? You actually think they're trolling?
yeah, I think it's like Andy Kaufman, right? Like, remember Andy Kaufman, the
Yeah,
comedian?
of course. Yeah.
And it was like he would ruin everything, and it was only funny to him. And that's what was the comedic genius about what he did, right? Like even now, like even 20 years after he died, and Jim Carrey made the movie, he still didn't know, like, did he fake his own death? Like, what the fuck? And I always used to say, Adam D from Killswitch was the Andy Kaufman of metal, because
Right.
sonically and visually, outside of Adam, it's such a formidable, serious metal band. And then he wears a cape and fucking short shorts and acts like an absolute fucking, like, autistic 4-year-old in a kindergarten class that can't sit still. But you love it, right? And so
Yeah.
it breaks the seriousness. And so in a way, it's like, it becomes an endearing part of the band. And so I personally, I guess, oh man, I'm like hopelessly like, okay, they're gonna do this thing and they're gonna fuck with everybody, and then they're gonna drop like a nightmare record, like just, and
Yeah.
everyone's like,
Just like,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Because
I
that's
just,
what, if I was
yeah.
that big, that's what I would do. I would be like, yo, we're gonna
Yeah.
put out a fucking turd in a punch bowl and then double down on it and then flip it, right? And that's also what I'm hoping is happening with this Sid shit. I hope it's just some bullshit, and they're gonna drop a song. I hope
I
that's what I
love
hope.
that. You said that.
Yeah, but I'm a hope. Like, I still believe in the like.
You ain't
Yeah,
afraid to say shit, bro. I love it. I love it. I love it.
no, that's just what I hope. Like, look, this is the thing too. Like, if me and Chris would have bought the Bad Wolves name from John, I like, even like me and Kyle have made peace. And the only person in the band I haven't talked to since the breakup is Doc, right? And that's just how that's how he is. He's I don't know what he is like, but if I bought the name, I would still call them and offer them to come back to the world, because I believe it. I believe that it's better if we were going to do that band, then we should have the band members,
Yeah.
regardless of what happened. And like, it's like, okay, you guys, like, this is the thing. They were like, fuck you, you support Trump, get out of the band. And I'm like, fuck you. I should be allowed to vote for whoever I want for. And now I don't support Trump. I think the last 2 years have been a fucking circus. I don't think that he's doing the things that he said. Like, this is the thing. Politicians lie to people. And I've met Trump. I've been flown to his house and I've shook hands with him, and he shouted me out on stage. So it's very easy. Like, people were like, you got manipulated. I'm like, yeah, no shit. The president of the fucking United States fucking invited me to go meet with him. Like,
Yeah. Who's
you
going
know,
to say no to that? You know, it's pretty
well,
hard
I'm
to say
also
no to
like,
that.
I'm like the Forrest Gump of heavy metal. Like, the craziest shit has happened to me, right? I lived with Justin Bieber. I was his sober coach. And like, the way I wasn't even told that was happening until I went to this house and he fucking came out of a room and was like, hey, what's up? Like, I've had the weirdest life.
What the fuck, bro?
Yeah. Yeah, bro. Like, literally, dude, I remember going to the gym, like, I know Josh Brolin, and we were friends for 6 months and I didn't fucking know who he was. We met each
No
other
fucking way.
feeding the homeless. Yeah. And all these people were always like, yo, what's up, man? Like, I was like, man, this nigga is mad popular. Like, I was like, and he used to play in a punk band, right? He's a drummer.
What?
So he played in a punk band back in the day in the 80s in Santa Barbara. And I was like, oh, I used to sing for Snot. And he was like, oh shit, he knows Lynn's sister because he used to live in Santa Barbara, right? So I didn't realize he was Brad from the Goonies, or he was in No Country for Old Men. I didn't
Yeah.
put it together. And
That's
he was just this
insane.
cool dude. And then I went to go see Avengers, the Ultron, and at the end, the motherfucker is Thanos. And I was like, and I'm a huge comic nerd, and my roommate at the time was like, he has this gravelly voice. He was like, "Yo, that sounds like your boy from the gym." And I was like, I Googled it. And dude, I saw him the next day. We had lunch and I was like, dude, I'm super pissed off at you, bro. And he's like, what do you mean? What did I do? He's like, you didn't tell me you were literally the Darth Vader of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And he started dying laughing. He's like, oh, I almost turned that down. I'm like, bro, I have to apologize to you, dude. I'm so fucking, I'm such a meatball. I didn't, I didn't realize that you were an actor. He just, and
Fucking
that was it.
Thanos, bro.
Yeah, dude. And so like a couple years later in 2019, when Bad Wolves played at the Palladium in Hollywood, he fucking came out on stage after like a few months after Endgame was the biggest movie in history, and came out and fucking announced the band and said we were better than everybody else on the tour, which I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, we were on tour with
Are
Papa
you
Roach and Asking
serious?
Alexandria. And then he did the snap and the whole place went crazy. And we came running out on stage. And it's
Bro,
like, dude, what
that's...
the fuck? It's the weirdest. I've had the
I'm
weirdest
just
life,
looking at
bro.
the picture now of you with Jacoby and Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
You've lived a fucking life, haven't you? Oh man, Tommy, I could
Yeah.
literally sit and speak to you for hours, bro. Like, just a bit wary of time.
Yeah.
It's been such a pleasure having you on, bro. We'll have to get you on another time. I don't know if you're coming to the UK anytime soon with
We're
Avengers, but it'd be great
we're
to
definitely, yeah,
do.
we're working on it. We're working on it right now. And so we were gonna actually we're supposed to go over there with El Nino in
Yeah,
late November, early December. But the way it's looking is I think we're gonna come do some festivals out there next year, and we'll
yeah,
do a headlining run. The response has been incredible. And plus, we're playing all the Bad Wolves hits. We're gonna probably play 5 or 6 new songs and then a bunch of the hits. And that we're even gonna be playing some of the unreleased songs that I wrote the entire third Bad Wolves record,
hmm
and it never got released. They just took my vocals off and switched it. They rewrote lyrics and switched it around with DL. So Chris and I were talking about it, and we're like, we're gonna play like Wildfire and Lifeline live, and
yeah. Oh,
yeah, it's
sick.
just, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, that's what we just look like. We just like went through all that shit and came out the other side, and we're like, dude, we just want to go play fucking our songs, have a good
Mm,
time, and leave all the bullshit, the politics, the fucking nonsense, all the
yeah,
division. Like and it's like a lot of things. There's things I was very right about, things I was very wrong about, and that's what Shared
yeah.
Light talks about, right? Like
Mm.
I may have misvoted for Trump, but also I'm glad I didn't get vaccinated, and nobody was right. They
Bro, who
corralled.
cares? Can I just say
Yeah,
to
who cares?
anyone listening to this, who the fuck cares what someone's political opinions are? If you don't like it, separate the music from the opinions, okay? Like, I do not get why, and I know this is a loaded question, we could speak about it for ages, bro, but you got so unfairly treated for that, and the fact that you're able to just be like, bro, even if you still support Trump, I wouldn't give a flying fuck. But the fact that
Yeah.
you can admit,
Well,
look, I was manipulated, like we've been
I
manipulated in
hold
Britain, but like, yeah.
we need to hold the politicians accountable and stop being tribal, right? I don't identify like I have voted left and right my whole adult life. I voted
hmm
for Obama 2 times and I voted for Trump in 2020. Like, so what? Right? And the other thing is that, dude, like they sort of made this like the identity politics is convincing both sides of the same thing. They tell the left that the right are Nazis, and they tell the right that the left are Nazis. And
Mm.
everyone's like, oh, yeah, these people are not. And it's like, dude, we're just being fucking manipulated,
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree.
by the
Like,
1%. They don't care about
yep.
us. It's happening over there, and it's just, if you just turn off your phone and turn off your TV and go outside, it's like, and just go see your friends and go, whether you go to the pub or you go to a church or where, or you go to a concert, wherever you go where your people are, everything's all right. It's kind
Yeah.
of okay. You know,
Yeah, for
it's
sure,
like
man.
they're really scaring the shit out of everybody 24/7.
Everyone is scared shitless. Like,
Right?
literally, like, if if I said anything that wasn't like particularly like liberal or left leaning now, it's like you are a Nazi. It's like what the hell?
And then
Like when did there
people,
just become such a black and white version of the world?
well, also the idea, like people don't even know what does it mean to be a Nazi? What are Nazis? They're
Quite yeah,
national socialists, right? But so that's leftist or socialist. So you're
yeah.
more closer to being a national social. You're
Bro,
closer to
it
being
makes no sense. It
yeah.
makes no sense at all.
And then people in America, kids are like, I'm pro-communist, and I'm like, dude, communism has killed 100 million people violently.
Yeah.
I was like, how is that good? Like, so how
We
could
just
And it's just like basically everyone should just stop joining this. Don't join
groups.
anything. Yeah,
You
stop
don't
joining
have
the
to, but
group. Yeah,
you don't
be an
have to like
individual.
you don't have to belong to a certain staunch
You shouldn't.
political thing. You just be yourself, whatever you're doing. Like with you, like you voted Trump. Now you wouldn't vote Trump. Like for me, I voted left, and I haven't voted left. Do you know what I mean? Like I just my opinions. I'm willing to listen and change my opinions, and you're the same.
Well, yeah, you have
Like,
to
and I think that
watch what they do, and what they do should dictate whether they get your vote or
for
not.
sure,
Not just because those people are the bad people or these people. It's like
yeah,
I'm like, look, if I vote for you because you say you're going to do this and you don't do it,
yeah,
you lost me. That's just
yeah,
accountability. And
yeah,
I think that the the political structure realized if we can keep making people fight over this nonsense, there
hmm,
what winds up happening is the public fights over personalities and not policy.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
how we lose our power, right?
yeah,
So
for
it
sure.
has to literally be about, okay, the policy. Most people would probably vote independent if someone
Yeah,
independent came out and was like, "Hey, let's not be crazy. Like,
mm,
let's fix the economy and like make
hmm,
sure that people are taken care of and make sure that things are affordable. Let's do that first. Let's stop paying for other people's wars." Right?
hmm,
That's just whether you're liberal, conservative, far right, far left, everyone is tired of war and death and
hmm.
poverty and brutality, right? And we lived in a time where it wasn't that prevalent. It's just been exacerbated since COVID.
I totally agree, man. Totally agree. And one thing we do on this podcast, fuck, I nearly forgot to do it. Our guest asks the next guest a question. So your question was supposed to be for Ronnie Winter from Red Jumpsuit, but he didn't turn up on Monday. I hope he's okay. But and I'm hoping. Can I ask you, like, because I don't know who has and who hasn't, because so many people do and some people don't. Have you played Warp Tour?
Uh, no, I haven't played Warped Tour.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Because
Why?
the question's from Craig Mavitt, and it was, "What's your favorite Warp Tour memory?" I'll tell you what.
I
If you
haven't played
haven't,
it, but I've obviously been to it.
no, let's
Oh,
change it. Let's change it. He wouldn't mind. Let's change his question to be, "What is your favorite memory from any concert?"
no, I have a favorite. My favorite Warped Tour memory is awesome.
Okay, let's do
All
it.
right,
Let's
so
do it then.
okay, so it was probably 2013 or 14. I was in New York City. I got a call from Melissa Cross, my vocal instructor who's taught everybody from Corey Taylor to Jacoby to David Draymond to Dayseeker singer to everybody. Um, she called and she's been sober. She's over 30 years. And she called me and said, "Hey, are you are you in New York?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And she's like, "Okay, we have an emergency. Warp Tours on Long Island, and there's no 12-step recovery books for the whole Warp Tour, and it's starting today." And I was like, "Okay." So I got on the train. I went to the store, like the AA store, and I bought a dozen books, threw them in a backpack, got on another train and took them out and got met at the gates at Warp Tour. And I delivered all the books so that all the people in sobriety on Warp Tour could have literature for their recovery meeting every day. And that's my
Bro,
best
that's
Warp Tour
sick.
moment. Yeah, that was my best Warp Tour
That's
moment.
sick.
Dropped off the books. I forgot what band. I think I watched. I probably watched John Feldman play, and I think the Used played that year too. And then and I had to work that night, so I couldn't even hang. So I dropped them off, watched two bands, and went back. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, bro,
That was my
that's it.
best Warped Tour moment. Yeah.
What's your question for the next guest?
Where's the worst place on tour you have had to take a shit? Bro, this is gonna be a great this should just be the standard question because bro, on tour.
What's yours?
I don't know. Well, the worst bathroom of any venue ever was CBGB's because there was there's just a toilet with no door and nothing in the middle of a room covered in piss on the
What?
floors. Yeah, and CBGB's in New York. It's gone now. And you'd have to take a shit there. And so one day, my old hardcore band was opening up for it was Vext. It was actually Trivium went on before us.
Yeah.
And Vexed and All That Remains was headlining. And I had to take a shit, and Lorenzo from Sworn Enemy walked in there while I was taking a shit in the middle of the room before I went on stage. So that's a pretty bad one. But sometimes you fucking go to a gas station and the door's locked in the middle of nowhere and you got to take a shit behind the dumpster.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's all, listen,
bro.
This is a really good question. Worst place you've ever had to take a shit.
Okay. Right. Love it. Well, Tommy, you have been amazing value, brother. Hopefully when you come to the UK, we get to do an interview in person, man, at one of those festivals. I think hopefully I should be a slam dunk and hopefully you will. But, brother, I've got way too many clips to make from this interview. You've given me a lot of work.
There's too many tidbits. So yeah, just whatever.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely link up, man. Just, you got my info. I'll send you my number too. And then when we get over across the pond, we definitely got to link up, man. It's been a great interview, bro. Like, I love your energy and I love the show. And yeah, thanks for having us on.
Appreciate you.